It sounds like the things that people used to say about black and white people. Like interracial marriages. Like, don't water down my race. Like, don't, it sounds like that's what that sounds like to me. And maybe that's because I grew up in a context that's, I've been mistreated because I'm a black person. I've been told things. I go back to Africa where you belong. Like, I've had people tell me that as a young person. So when I hear that, I'm like, my gut is like, oh, how could you say that? Like, we're not the same. No, we don't locate ourselves in our society in the same ways. No, we don't. But I would never dare to say because you locate yourself there, that means that you're not valid. Like, even if I locate myself in a different way, the way you locate yourself is totally fine. And I understand that you identify as female identified butch. I understand that that's important to you. But don't dare say that I can't, if I was not that person, that I can't identify differently. I don't think it's watering anyone down. How I identify and how you identify have nothing to do with one another. Only insofar as that how other people see us as a collective is either a monolith or not. And the fact is like, and I keep saying this, when I'm walking down the street and some guy decides that he wants to attack me because I'm holding my girlfriend's hand, he's not going to ask if I'm trans. He's not going to ask if I'm butch. He's not going to ask if I'm stud. He might run up on me and do some crazy shit. And it's not going to be a question of what label I chose. It's going to be a question of the fact that I'm gender variant and because I'm trespassing on what he thinks is a maleness and a masculinity that he's the only person that can hold. We talk about this whole thing about masculinity and da-da-da-da-da. Like, butchness, the only reason why butch is even like sort of that word is because we found a word to sort of separate ourselves from people who are cisgender and femme-presenting. And even then, the fact that butch is the word that we use didn't come from, we didn't like birth it out of our uterus. Like, if we want to really dig back in the day, there was a little boy in my neighborhood. His name was Butch. Right. You talk about butchness, Butch Cassidy. Like, talk about butch in the context of what this whole society thinks of masculinity is. We just use a different word, and we're not using masculine because we associate that with male, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it belongs to males. And like, that's really problematic for me. That it's like, oh, well, this is our word. Time out. There are gay men who identify as butch. Let's really talk about it. Mm-hmm. This word doesn't belong to anybody. And it was hurtful to hear that, oh, well, letters to butch voices and the people that I loved. Well, why don't you love us anymore? Because we disagree? Why is that a reason to sever love ties?
All right.